what if my visa expires before I graduate while I'm still in the United States? So the visa, I'm still studying, visa has expired, can I just keep studying?
Yes. So this gets into a discussion of duration of status. So I'll talk about that some. So your visa basically is, it's allowing you to enter the United States. Once you're here, if you're granted entry by Customs and Border Protection at the port of entry when you arrive, usually via airplane, they'll admit you and they're going to grant you what's called duration of status. And the best and easiest way that I can explain this is that a student may remain in the United States for as long as he or she wishes, as long as he or she is maintaining student status, meaning engaging in that full course of study. So you could potentially stay in the United States for the entirety of your program. If it's a traditional four-year school, you could stay in for the whole 4 years if you wanted to. And if your visa expires during that time while you're here in the United States, it doesn't really matter. It doesn't affect your status in the United States. It's if you wish to depart the United States, if your visa is expired, that's when it's going to matter, and that's when you're going to need to reapply.
So the visa is for travel, but once you're here, you can stay.
Exactly.
For the purpose that you've entered.
Yes, you have duration of status, which stays in place as long as you're continuing basically to be a student. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So Twyla, let me ask you in that vein, if a student is here and the visa expires, does the school have a preference about whether or not the student actually has a valid visa or not?
We always let students know that the most important documents once they're here are actually that their I-20 remains current and their passport remains current. And we let them know that that visa for an F1 student is a travel document. That is the number one question that makes students very uneasy once they get here or once they realize their visa is going to expire. And we explain probably more than 20 times in a day that it's very important that the I-20 and the passport remain current, but as long as they don't leave the United States and try to return on a expired visa, they are fine.
Jennifer, are there situations where students have then had to travel because of an emergency and haven't had a valid visa? Do you see that?
Yes, it's happened. We do everything we can to make sure students know what they need to get back into the country. And so we have had emergency situations where students may have left without a travel signature on their I-20, perhaps without knowing that their visa had expired. They have to get it renewed to re-enter. If it's about sending them an I-20 with a travel signature, we could probably work that out, but the visa is something that has to be valid at that time of entry. So it's traveling can be a little tricky, and so we do everything we can to provide as much information as possible for students so students are prepared.
So bottom line, don't do anything without talking to your DSO,
yes.
Without talking to your school. Make sure that you
Yes.
that students are talking to the schools about this.
That's important. It's important to have a relationship with your international office and your DSOs, just so you can ask questions, and we can check your CVIS record, we can look at your immigration documents, we can make sure your travel signature will be valid at your time of reentry. It's a two-way street to keep that communication going.